Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 22 of Sooner Girl Sports Pod. And I would like to thank you for pressing play today, even if you're just here to hear the awesome Chris Plank show. I appreciate you pressing play, and I hope that you like it, and I hope that you come back again. So, all of my longtime listeners know that I had Plank Show back on one of my earlier episodes. I believe it was episode 4 back in February. And we did a preview of softball season and we talked a little bit about other sports as well. Well, we are back for round 2 as we do a softball season recap with my friend Chris, and also we talk a little bit about the baseball season recap and look forward to football season as we are all switching gears to that. In case you do not know who Chris is, I want to read a little introduction to him. My friend Chris Plank, he is also known as Plank Show. He is a sideline reporter for OU football, and he is the voice of OU softball since 2016 on the Sooner Radio Network. You can hear him weekdays currently from 9 to noon with Josh Helmer as he talks OU sports and what's going on in the world of sports on KREF, 1400 AM, 99.3 FM, or on the KREF app anywhere in the world. He can also be heard nationally on Fox Sports Radio every Friday night from 1 to 4 a.m. with Chris Plank Show on Sunday nights from 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. with Arnie Spanier. I would like to say we do touch on this in the episode, but as our friend Toby Rowland is transitioning away from his radio show in the morning and into the sports director for News 9 in Oklahoma City, our friend, our very own Chris Plank, will be moving to the 6 to 9 a.m. spot with his co-host Blake Gamble, and that is starting next week, I believe June 18th. So if you like Chris and you want to hear him on KREF, be sure and tune in right now from 9 to noon, and starting the middle of June, he will move to the 6 to 9 a.m. spot. I'm super excited for him for this move. I know it's great for him personally, so I hope that you go and give him a listen. But in his spare time, Plank loves to play golf and he loves being outdoors. He is the father of 3. His son Will is 21 and a student at Westpoint. Emma is 16, Gwen is 10, and his amazing wife Sarah has been married since 2008. You can find Plank on Instagram and Twitter. Super easy. He is at Plank Show. And so I hope that you will go give him a follow. And thank you so much for listening today. Thank you so much to my friend Chris Plank. He is a dear friend and he's always so grateful to come on the show, and I truly do appreciate him. So I hope you enjoy this conversation with my friend Chris Plank. I like your shirt.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it was a gift. It's the only
awesome.
Chiefs thing I own.
I was going to say, it's really funny that you're wearing that because I listened to our last episode just because I wanted to see what we talked about softball related.
Right.
And we talked about the Super Bowl because we recorded, I think it was like February 5th.
Oh, wow.
We were talking about the Super Bowl and, of course, the Chiefs and the Eagles. And you were like, no, I hate the Chiefs.
Hate the Chiefs. But I love Creed, so I'll do whatever he tells me.
I hear that. Yeah, you're kind of like me. I like that shirt. I need it because I have a lot of shirts for our former players. I'm not really I don't really have a team. I mean, I used to be a Tom Brady fan, so,
Gotcha.
Patriots for 20 years. But, yeah, so I have a Jalen shirt, a Baker shirt, all the things. So
That's how my best friend is, man. He only likes the former Sooners.
there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. We are actually going out to Phoenix in November.
Oh, awesome.
I think it's either a bye week for both Eric and I, or it's away games. I can't remember.
Oh, cool.
Anyway, that one weekend neither of us have home games. So I'm like, we're going to go see Kyler. It's the Niners. I like the 49ers. So anyway, that'd be fun.
Beautiful.
So okay, well, let's get after it. So like I said, I listened back to our conversation before softball season, and we talked about Sam Landry, Nelly, and Abigail Dayton, and Audrey Lowry.
Yeah.
And so, of course, when I heard us talking about Abby Dayton, I immediately thought about her hit, her big hit. And so your call on that play was incredible. I mean, I know, I feel
Thank
like
you.
you and Toby are hands down the best, in my opinion, across the radio world. But y'all just bring such excitement to the game and to the plays. But that hit by Abby Dayton was a huge hit, regardless of the outcome of the game. I hate that nothing more came of it. But yeah, tell me about that moment, because like I said, your call on that was incredible.
It's a core moment for the rest of my life. And
for sure.
Part of it, even though they lost the game, was the setting.
Yes.
DJ and I are in one booth, and where they set us up, there's, I think, 5 or 6 booths up there in the new stadium, including the TV booth. Mm-hmm. So there's an extra large radio booth that I always like to snag whenever, like, OU is playing a non-conference game there or something. It's my favorite. But Westwood One is in there during the World Series, and they're incredible, and I've been lucky to work for them. Yes. So it's me and DJ, and DJ's got the clap now. You know it's a good play when you can hear her clap in the background. And Aaron Miller was on the Westwood One call. They brought her in because Leah Amico, who had typically called all the championship series games, her son was graduating from high school, so she had to fly back on Monday, so she wasn't able to do the champ series. So they brought in Aaron to do it. So you've got myself and DJ in one booth, and we turn, and as we're calling this, Aaron's, she's very unbiased. She's got her headphone thing up, and she's just looking at it, and she's mouthing, oh, my God. And here we are in this moment where this, like, unlikely play has just taken place. And I'm maybe a little bit more – because I was there in 2019 when a similar thing happened in the Champ Series whenever Shea Knighton hit a game-tying home run on the last strike. And then it's not remembered as well because UCLA walked it off in the bottom half of the 7th inning. I hope this one isn't forgotten just because of just how unlikely it was with Abby only having a couple home runs on the season. But just to know how good of a person Abby is and how she had earned that moment. So it'll always be a core memory for me, even if they didn't win the game. And it was one of my favorite seasons following the team.
That's cool. Well, I think I got this from you. 3 home runs on the season.
Right.
One from Nija, one from Carlin Pickens, and I don't know who the third one was, but that's incredible that one of her 3 home runs the whole season was at that moment.
Yeah, and she hit her she had, I think, the team's first home run of the season, too.
Okay,
so she had the home run against San Diego State early in that game and then had the home run to finish it off in the World Series. So
that's incredible.
She's a core piece, man. She's really important to this program going forward, even if it's only going to be a couple years she's here.
Absolutely. And she came from Utah, correct? She played
That's right.
Okay.
California kid. I think NoCal, met her dad, met her mom, great people. I had the hardest time early because we had Bella Dayton for the longest time that played at Texas forever, and we played Arizona and she was there. But I think she's somebody that has a future that we'll be talking about for years just because of how creative she is. And she's pretty special, man. I was really happy for her to have that moment.
Yeah, I agree. She will be fun to watch going forward. Okay, and then so Audrey Lowry, I know we talked about her previously as well. I know she had a couple injuries throughout the season that kind of kept her from performing. But boy, when she was out in the circle, she really got the job done. And so I am looking forward going forward with her as well because she's just a freshman. We still got 3 more years with her. And I think she's got a bright future as well. So I didn't see a lot of her, but just from what I did see, I really like her, how she plays. And she seems like a very good person, like personable and just a team player and ready to go to battle. So that's good too.
She's a dog, and I mean it in the kindest way possible. She is just somebody that will bulldog her way through it. She'll have a rough outing. Like she kind of struggled a bit in relief against Texas. Her start against Bowling Green didn't go all that well, but the next time out she was incredible. I thought if Oklahoma could have had a game, they didn't have a game in this World Series where they were ever like comfortable. It's
no.
It wasn't comfortable against Oregon. It wasn't comfortable until it was over against Tennessee. But if they would have had a game like they had against Duke last year or Northwestern in the past, I think there was a chance you might have seen a possibility for her to get her feet wet in the World Series. But I do think that her season was a success because of how hard she fought to get back. And then when she got back, how well she threw. So future bright, man. She's a big-time part of this rotation going forward.
Well, she improved and got more comfortable, like you said, as the season went through, and she got better from her injury. So, that's – and then Sam Landry, I don't really know what else to say about her other than I really wish we could have had her more than one season because she was incredible. And I know coming out of the fall, she was one that Tyler McComas talked about as like his pitcher to watch, his favorite player. Boy, she really lived up to it. And I know that Patty, it seems like every year, and now she's recruited Sydney from LSU.
Sydney Burzon,
for our recruit for next season. And it seems like every year she gets one really good, like senior recruit. We only get one season with them, but they really make their mark on the program. There's Storako, Kelly Maxwell,
G.
Hope
Juarez.
Troutwine. G. Juarez, yes. And so the track record's there. And so I'm excited to see. And what I have seen of Sydney, which we didn't play LSU this year.
We played them in the SEC tournament.
Oh, that's right, we did.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
so I knew I had seen her pitch at some point, and so she's a really good pitcher. So I'm excited to see, of course, all these pitchers I see coming in, and they get with Coach Jen, and she just takes them to the next level. So I'm really excited to see what's on deck for her, because
3 freshmen
she's already do what?
3 freshmen coming in.
Oh yes, 3
freshman
freshmen.
pitchers, 3 righties. Yeah,
So we've got Bordy.
that's right.
That's coming back, and then is Riley Zakay's sister? Is she a pitcher also? Okay.
Yep.
And
Alyssa Parker. Alyssa Parker.
Yes.
From
Yes, okay,
Pecola, Oklahoma.
Yes, Pecola,
I wasn't
I think so.
familiar with it, but of course I learned about Caddo this year. I learned about a lot of
Yes.
small town Oklahomas too. But
Yes.
yeah, and coaches compared what Alyssa Parker could potentially to be to a dual threat like a Kalani Ricketts, Page hit for a long time. I mean,
Yes.
Alyssa's a righty. It's a little different role, but I think you're going to see a lot of the youngsters get an opportunity next year too. Yeah.
I love it. Okay, so in the portal, we've lost a few, which I always hate to see them go, but obviously wish them the best. And I understand why they do what they got to do for themselves. But one that I really did hate to see go specifically was Hannah Core. And I don't mean anything negative toward her at all, because I wish her the best. I think she's stellar, and she's had a lot of shining moments with our program, and I hope that those aren't forgotten as she moves on in her career. But man, I really hated to lose that. And the other girls, I mean, the same thing. I always hate to lose, but they didn't get a lot of playing time, and so that's respectable, and I think the potential's there for them. But Hannah has really shown us for several years what she can do, and I know she battled injuries and everything, and I just hated to see her name in that portal. I really, really did.
Yeah, and I don't know, by the time this comes out, she might have a new place. I don't know where she's going to end up.
Yeah.
Her best friend is at LSU now, and Avery Hodge, but LSU looks pretty stacked next year.
Yeah.
I reach out to, I always, when a player leaves, I always try to reach out and just let them know that their impact was felt, even when they maybe didn't get to play a lot. And Hannah Core is somebody that I just think is one of the more incredible stories with everything she fought, man.
Yes.
She
did
battled back injuries and just always, in this season, so she's a starting center fielder in game 1 of the season, and she goes out and wrenches her ankle while just getting back to the bag.
Yeah.
It's almost, you can't help but say, oh my gosh, you cursed or something here for
Hannah.
Hannah.
Yes.
But she's going to be one of my favorites. I mean, just because she was, when there was an event and softball needed to be there, she was always there.
Yes.
If it was tailgate parties, she was always there. So I think she's one of those players that statistically and numbers-wise won't be remembered, but I think personality-wise and kind of the impact that she had always will.
I agree. Well, I feel like we had a great season overall. I know we came up short, so to speak, but if we're being honest, I didn't know what to expect from this team at the beginning of the season, because we talked about before all the new names and faces, and I didn't even recognize half the people. I might have known the name and the face, but I couldn't have put them together for anything. And obviously, as the season progressed, I figured it all out. But I didn't know what to expect from this team this season, and in my opinion, I feel like they exceeded expectations. And I'm a big fan of Gabby Garcia. Mm-hmm. I kind of feel like she's one that was under the radar, so to speak, for a little while.
Didn't start the opener.
I mean, she really, when she got her shot, she took it. And she made her mark, and every time she would get up to the plate, I would say, okay, Gabby Go Yard. That was kind of like her nickname or whatever. And anyway, I feel like she's another one going forward that's going to mean a lot to our program, and I am so glad she got an opportunity to show us what she had this season, because like I said, I didn't know what to expect. I feel like the team overall really exceeded expectations. And as far as Nellie goes, I know I mentioned her earlier, she really did a lot as far as her being a captain and technically a freshman, redshirt freshman. There were a lot of times she stepped up when it needed to happen, and we were like, okay, this is where her leadership is shining. And I think she really had a lot of those moments. And so I'm a big fan of her. I still am. So going forward, she's still going to be another one of my favorites. I think the future is nothing but bright. So looking back, I mean, how did you feel going into the season? How do you feel overall, just to reflect?
Feel good. I go back to the championship celebration. And Coach telling, hey, listen, it's going to be a different year. It's going to be, new players. We're going to be learning. And she would preach, be patient with us, be patient with us. And I'll never forget, I kind of said as I was wrapping up, thanks for coming out, and let's do it again next year. And Coach Gasso kind of turned and shot a look, and we all had sunglasses on, and I was like, boy, underneath those sunglasses, I'm probably in big trouble. But they went to extra innings against San Diego State and Long Beach State and Bowling Green, and you're going through those games, and you're wondering, oh, my gosh, are we going to be okay? They still won the games, but you just, boy, when we get into SEC play, how's it going to be? Then they swept their first 2 SEC series against the South Carolina team that was a super regional host,
Good
and so
team.
was Arkansas, right? So, I mean, I thought that this was one of the best coaching jobs that this staff has done. And by the end of the season, here's a team that Coach Gasso said in the piece that ESPN aired a couple of times during like rain delays and stuff, when Coach Gasso said, hey, you told me this team got to the World Series, I'd be over the moon excited. And they got to the World Series and was basically 2 wins away from the Champ Series. And I guess you could argue and say 4 wins away from another title. I think they exceeded expectations. Now,
I agree.
I know there's a large faction out there that's like, well, championship is the expectations. And that's true, but it's not reality. It's just the reality is you can't do that every single year. So to me, it was an amazing year. To me, it was one that I'll never forget. And you mentioned someone like Nellie, learning her voice, learning how to lead. I mean, I don't know in the history of Oklahoma athletics if we've had a freshman captain. Just don't know. I've dug and I can't find it. Lindsey Elam was a 3-year captain. Those are few and far between. But Nellie comes in as a redshirt freshman and is the captain. I mean, that's just unbelievable. So I loved watching her grow as a leader. I'll tell you what, a player that I think is going to be a captain sooner rather than later is like a Sid Barker. She has it. And I'm real excited about her future. Don't know what position it's at. She came in as a shortstop, but lengthy. She's an athlete. I'd love to see her at first. I think she'd be great over there. Coach Gasso loves athletic first baseman. So to me, it was a great season. It was a fun run through the SEC, and now I can't wait to go to those places. I've never been to South Carolina to call a game. We went to Tennessee in 2016. I think it was my first year. Went up there, and it was amazing. So I'm really excited for that trip through the SEC and to bring those teams that we went to, bring them here.
Absolutely. Well, you mentioned Sid Barker and first base, and of course makes me think of Sid Sanders, and I'm going to miss her because she is one I just have to, I know I've said it a few times, but she's one that always was underrated to me. She didn't get a lot of praise, and she was a very athletic first baseman. I mean, I don't know how many times I saw that girl doing the splits, trying to make a catch, get a play, and she is one of those silent leaders, I think, that will for sure be missed on the team. Now, of course, she's really the only one that we're losing that's been around long term. I mean, we're losing Sam, of course, which will be missed, and Bella Smith, which I hate that we didn't get to see more of her because I think she has a really good story. I met her mom at a softball game.
How could you not?
In Norman. I know, with her red hat. I know, she was so kind. And so I really hate we didn't get to see more of her. I'm glad that she was here when she was. But like you said, I think going forward, there's nowhere to go but up. And it's funny to think, like you said, last year you make a comment of let's do this again next year. And I don't think anybody ever thought that we would have been 4 wins away from a national championship. I know I didn't. And then when we struggled, like you said, at the beginning of the season, it was kind of like, oh, geez.
And it's funny, they struggled, but they were undefeated.
That's what was so crazy. And then Tennessee comes in and takes the series from us. And then we turn around and sweep Texas after we've already swept South Carolina and Arkansas. And it was kind of just like, what is happening? And it was just crazy. And, you know, it's really hard for, I mean, I'm never going to root for Texas by any means, but it's never easy when they are playing for a national title and when they're winning. But I will have to say this. I have become a fan of Tegan Cavan and her story. Like, I know her grandma passed away and her battling through that, which, I mean, we've all lost somebody. It's hard to battle through your emotions for everyday life. And she's out there pitching in the most important games in her career. And look what she did. So I have to give her props for that.
She deserves them.
Props. She does. I'm not giving any props to Texas, but
I will say this for Texas, though. Texas, to me, did something pretty incredible, and I'm with you. You don't want to give them too many flowers as like an Oklahoma fan, but they were done. I mean, they got swept by Oklahoma. They got run ruled in the SEC tournament.
It was bad.
Clemson put the winning run in scoring position with less than 2 outs twice late in that game, too. They should have won the series in the Super Regionals. And yet Texas got that second life, and then Kevon just found another level in the World Series. And you're right, losing your grandma is tough. I mean, I was really close to my grandparents. And to know that her grandma was a pitcher and that the conference.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
Yes. So I have to give him props for that. And I was pulling for Najee Kennedy for a lot of reasons. I just think the whole story and the ties with Sam Landry, with Coach Glasgow and all the teammates and all that was super cool. I felt like, okay, this is their time. Here we go. Obviously, that did not work out. But, wow, not to talk about Texas Tech, but that program in a year. And then they just got that catcher from Ohio State that was in the portal that's coming next season. So
they'll probably get Caitlin Terry out of UCLA. They're gonna spin. Texas Tech. They're gonna continue to spin. So I think that's good for the sport.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. Yep. Well, and they learned that Nyjah, she pitched every pitch of the entire World Series until the end of that Texas game, the third game, and that is not feasible. And so I think they are going to go after a pitcher like a Caitlin Terry because they need it. So anyway, props to them. Good luck to them.
I think even Mike White showed you that. He started Mac Morgan in the Tennessee game, and she was really good. Then he started her in game 2, and even brought in the freshman Salmon at one point, who hadn't pitched outside of a couple innings in the Super Regional. So staff still matter. Now, are they as important as, do you still need a Najee Kennedy to get to the World Series? Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Tech's not there without Najee Kennedy. But you still need a staff. You need a 2. You need maybe even a 2A to kind of help your ace out whenever you get lengthy in the tooth, if you will, in your runs.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, any more thoughts on softball?
Yeah, just a fun year, man. I had a blast. I think what made it maybe more, not necessarily fun, but just different was the Sooner schedule was so different, right? Oklahoma only made one trip to the West Coast, and that was the season opener, and it was a haul. You had, I think it was 5 games in 3 or 4 days, and they were all in different places. So that was as unique as I've ever been. I thought it was cool, and it was fun. I rented a car and just I didn't go anywhere, but I was following the team around, and it was just you didn't realize how much you're moving around. So that was crazy and fun, and a lot of home. I think the fans, Love's Field this year took a step towards saying, hey, if I'm not going to be at the game, I don't want my seat to go unused. Let's get it out there and get it used. And then the fans that showed up, I thought it was a big-time home field environment this year. So that was something that really stood out to me.
I agree. I think I saw the graphic was like 107,000 people came through Love's Field.
That's awesome.
Isn't that crazy?
That's awesome.
Unreal. I love it. I love it for the sport, and it's exciting. So baseball, I know we had quite a few guys hitting the portal.
Sure.
I think like 6 or 7. The one name, Cole Hansen, of course, because I recognize Kenzie's brother. And then Jacob Golston, a pitcher. I saw his name in there. A few of the other ones I didn't really recognize. I hate to say that, but
baseball rosters are huge, so it's okay.
They are, and I do follow them, obviously, but not as intently as I do softball and football. But I saw we got a lot of good recruits coming in. We got a kid from Mississippi State, one from Vegas, and then the Omaha kid. And they all, what I saw on Twitter when they were announced, their stats and everything, they look very promising. So that's exciting. I think the crowds at the baseball stadium, I don't know if you got to attend any games this year, but I went to 4 or 5 games, and the crowd, it was always a good crowd and loud for the most part, interactive. I will say one thing that I had I guess you could say, I don't want to say a problem, but I noticed. So I was able to get seats behind home plate, like right in front of the press box, so like in that upper level. And every game, I was at Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, I can't remember the other one. Those, I was always sitting by visitors, fans from the other team. And I was just like, well, how did y'all get these tickets? So I don't know. Like I said, it's not a complaint necessarily. It was just an interesting observation.
Well, and I think that was one thing that we thought in baseball was going to be maybe a little bit of a bigger deal than it was. I can only think of 2 times this year where you went and you're like, dang, there's a lot of the opposing team's fans here. And it was LSU and maybe Texas.
Yeah, Texas. Yeah.
But I thoroughly enjoyed this season. because I love listening to Toby, and obviously
Yes.
Josh was calling some games earlier, so I was
Yes.
supporting him. But I think in what we witnessed with Kyson Witherspoon might have been one of the more dominating
Incredible.
pitchers that we've seen in a while, right? Cade
Yes,
Horton had his run
absolutely.
late in the, was that 2 or 3 years ago? And
Yeah, 22, I believe.
yeah, and so now you've got Kyson Witherspoon, who from start to finish was dominant. Reminded me a lot of John Gray and Dylan Overton. I was around those
Yes.
teams a lot. So that was I love Skip, and I love
Yes, I
watching
do
Skip
too.
coach, and I love his demeanor, and I love his personality. He's the dude. He's the man. And so anytime I can support him and that team, I'm going to. Ryan Gaines, I don't know, but
Oh, yes.
when I got hired to do OU sidelines in 11, my first play-by-play job for OU was calling baseball when Toby
Yes.
couldn't go in 2012.
Yes.
And so I got a chance to be around, and Ryan was there from day one. And it's a cool experience. And SEC
cool.
baseball was another level. It was another level, so that was fun.
It certainly was.
Yeah.
I really enjoy, obviously, listening to Toby, but I loved when Kendall Pettis was on with him this season. I can't remember what game it was. I feel like it may have been one of the regional games. It was later. And Kendall's over there, like, hollering. Because of a play that had happened. I think someone hit a home run, but I loved hearing Kendall, and of course him being a former player, he was one of my favorites always.
Yeah, he was great.
Mr. Top 10. And then I had Carly Murray on a couple of months ago as well, so I got to talk to her about everything that she does and the part that she plays, and she traveled with Toby and Kendall to the regionals and the SEC tournament, and it's just really cool to see their involvement in it as well. And so it gave me another level of interest, I guess you could say, in following the team. Not that I don't anyway, but it just gave me an extra connection in following those guys. And yeah, so Kyson, he was so fun to watch.
Yep.
And I'm really going to miss, I mean, I know he's probably going to go in the draft, but
He's going to be a top 10 pick. Yeah, he's fun.
Oh, for sure. His brother, though, Malachi, he pitched in game one of the regionals in Chapel Hill last weekend, and holy smokes, he was lights out. So props to him for that, and I'm looking forward to him sticking around.
Me too.
That was fun too.
And Skip does a great job pitching. That's his lifeblood.
absolutely.
So when
Yeah.
you're able to do that, I think that you'll attract the best. And you mentioned the kid at UNLV they're bringing in. They like him a lot.
Yes.
Malachi makes a decision to come back. He's probably going to be your Friday night starter. He's probably going to be
I
your
bet
one
so.
next year. So it's going to be
I bet so.
it'll be an interesting offseason for him and his decision-making process.
For sure. I had Carson Atwood on a while back. His family's from Ardmore, so we kind of have some connections. So I was talking to him just a few weeks ago about their run to Omaha that season and just some stories about that and everything. And he talked a lot about Skip. Obviously, him as a pitcher, he had a lot of respect for him. And
Stud.
he basically said the same thing. Like, he's going to bring in the people. He's going to attract that talent. And so it's exciting. I wish the best. I think that they did a good thing with the Section 405 out there in right field. And I think it's getting people to come. And, I mean, it was packed.
Yeah.
Every time I was there, I think a lot of the games were sold out. So that's really cool.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. I pulled up the number because you were talking about the OU softball tweet.
Yes.
86,504 for baseball. They had a series attendance record, almost 14,000 against Texas, almost 1,500 season ticket holders, a single game attendance record. So, that first year in the SEC was obviously challenging, but as far as, getting butts in seats, it was great for both programs.
It certainly did. Well, Eric being a poke, I gave him a hard time because when we got that baseball schedule, he's a big baseball guy, and he was like, "Oh, I want to come see Vandy. I want to come see," and I'm like, "Yeah, you want to come to Norman to see all the SEC teams."
That's right.
But I don't blame him. It's really cool that we had those teams coming into Norman, and now we're going to go to those places, and the other teams will be coming in next season, so it's exciting as far as that goes. Okay, so football, I saw this morning. My brain is ready to switch to football because
I've already switched.
I mean, I'm ready. I mean, I know I've got some softball this summer to keep up with the Spark and the AU girls, but yeah, football mode is here. And so I saw that we hired a football trainer from the Saints.
Right.
And so I think that's a great move. I know we had a lot of struggles last season with injuries, so I'm hoping this helps get past that stuff. So I don't know anything about the guy, but I think that's a good move. We're making a lot of big moves in the front office side and that side of things, and here we go.
Yeah,
so
and it's interesting because
way.
they're going, not only are they bringing in what appears to be a new athletic trainer, but they're also bringing in a back-to-play coach, I think was in George Stoya's report that I saw this morning.
I saw that. I didn't know what that meant.
I don't either. I mean, I mean,
I forgot that I saw
my
that.
back to play coach was my dad asking me if I was hurt or if I was injured, and if I was only hurt, get back out there and play.
Yeah.
But hey, listen, man, that was an issue last year. Regardless,
For sure.
I think that fans need to know that Oklahoma had the rock star of athletic training staffs with Scott Anderson when he was here, and Jim Hillis was the director of rehabilitation, and Doc McGinnis is still around. There's a lot of those; they're just irreplaceable. And
For sure.
Chris Watson slid into the responsibility and was great, but it's a lot. And he has a family, and his wife had been involved with the OU football program for a long time, so he went into the private sector, and he's crushing. He's a great dude, and it was a lot. It was a lot on Robert and that staff, Robert Fulton. To bring in somebody and to beef up that staff when they did an internal review, according to all the reports, they realized, hey, we got to get better here. And it looks like it's a move to get better because what do you want? You want your best players being available.
Absolutely. Need them all healthy.
As the great John Gruden said, your best ability is your availability. I don't think he was the first one that ever said it, but as a Raiders fan and with our guys being hurt all the time whenever he was the head coach, I kind of felt that in my bones,
I don't blame you there. Well, I was listening to Gabe and Teddy talk about Champ U barbecue that was this weekend, and Gabe was a part of a panel there, and he said that he saw some real big dudes or something like that. And so I'm like, hey, that's great to hear.
His term is large humans. He wants large humans. Yeah,
that's it. Yes,
I've heard it.
I couldn't remember the term he used. Yeah, he's hilarious. But yeah, I love hearing about that because I think it's cool to hear about the kids coming in with their families and getting that exposure and the opportunity to commit. So yeah, it's a big deal. Like you said, we're all switching gears to football. And speaking of football, the house settlement is a big deal, and I'm not sure of all the ins and outs of it, but
I've lived it.
It's a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, changes everything. We got a new enforcement arm. It's the College Sports Commission. It's the new enforcement arm of the NCAA.
Yes.
If you've got an NIL deal that's $600 or more, it's going to have to go through a clearinghouse. You've got a $20.5 million salary cap that's going to increase every year. But if you're opted in, you can't go above that. If you go above that, then there'll be stiff penalties, which could include a bowl ban. It's, we'll see how it works out. I'm intrigued. I'm curious. I can't wait till you have the first time when they shut down and they're like, hey, we're not going to allow that deal, to see what the reaction is like. But it's a whole new world. And athletic departments have been preparing for this for years. When Trev Alberts got hired at Texas A&M, he immediately cut like 7-8 members of the staff. So there's been people that have been preparing for this for years. Oklahoma's been preparing for it for years. Now that it's a reality, I'm interested to see how much of an impact and difference it makes. Yeah,
well, Gabe and Teddy, again, we're talking about the impact that it could have on your non-revenue sports. Yeah. And that's scary to me because I like to watch all the sports. I don't want to lose any of those. And I think about those athletes and how hard they work and just getting out there and representing our university. And I want them all to have that opportunity. I don't want them to lose any of those opportunities. And that Josie will work as hard as he possibly can to keep everything going and give everybody the opportunity that they need. But it's interesting. It's concerning as a fan. I think about there's a lot of non-revenue sports that exist, and I don't want to lose them.
And
so I really hope that doesn't happen.
If there's been one thing that Josie has been pretty consistent in is like they're going to support all 21, of their sports.
Yeah.
And so that might not be the case across all of college athletics. Cleveland State shut down its softball program, right?
Yes.
So that's my concern overall too.
Same. And I think that OU might be better prepared than some of the other schools. But like you said, if other schools aren't willing to pay the price, so to speak, or whatever, then who are we going to play? Who are we going to compete against? So there's that too. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
It's going to be a whole new world, man.
Going forward. It will. But I'm ready for football. I know we're on the countdown, and it's one of my favorite times of year, so I'm more than ready for that. So I don't want to take up much more of your time, but do you have any closing thoughts or anything else you want to share?
Thanks to Sooner fans for always supporting the radio broadcast. I mean, we're not going to get to go on the road and call softball if there aren't clients that are jumping in to support it or people like you that are passionate and listen to it and share the word. So I'm just grateful for that. And everybody just calm down this off season. We're going to be okay. I mean, we're going to be okay in softball and football. I think we're going to be fine. But it's going to be a fun, relaxing couple of weeks. And then you think about it, as you and I tape this, it's June 9th. And, I mean, Media Days is right around the corner.
Oh, yeah,
so
the month. In about a month, yeah.
It's getting to where we're going to have a boatload of football in our face, and I'm excited about it.
I'm ready. I'm so ready. Well, I will say this because you mentioned about going on the road to cover softball. My friend Casey, her cousin, he does men's basketball radio call for Texas Tech. And so they've seen him over the years at Lloyd Noble. Well, they were obviously at the World Series this year for softball, and he came.
Yeah, Jeff.
My friend's cousin, Jeff, yes. He came to call their games, and so they normally have students that call their softball games and some other sports like that don't get a lot of support or attention. And so obviously school's out, and I guess nobody was really available to come call, the World Series. And so they were like, hey, basketball and baseball, he does baseball as well. Hey, come on and call the World Series for us. And so that was a huge opportunity for him, which is cool. They got to see him there in Oklahoma City. But all that to say, there are so many schools, and Texas Tech's a pretty prominent school, but softball and some of those sports like that aren't always supported as much as they are at OU. And I know a lot of that comes with winning and things like that, and OU certainly earned that. But it's out there that those sports are not supported like that. And like I said, he got to come and call that because the students weren't available or whatever. And that's just crazy to think. I mean, we have you. We have you. And I have so many people that are like, oh my gosh, Plank, he's so awesome. Like, they love listening to you. They're always asking me, how do we find him? How can we listen to him?
That's cool.
Out of town or whatever. And so you are very much appreciated. And I know I had DJ on back in May. She's incredible. I love hearing her with you as well. And so we just have some great people at the university. I'm thankful.
Yeah, I'm too. And it was cool. It's been my big push. It's, there might not be radio stations, but now there's digital ways in which you can call every game.
Oh, yeah, apps.
And you love to see whenever someone like Texas Tech says, we're in the World Series, we're sending a radio crew there, because they usually just do home games. So it's exciting.
Absolutely.
I appreciate the kind words, and I appreciate you having me on, Laura. It's awesome.
Of course. One last thing. I want to hear about your move to your morning show.
Well, it hadn't happened yet, so I haven't started preparing my body.
Okay. Well, I was going to ask you, are you a morning person?
Yeah, I'm a morning person. I've been a morning person my whole life. Now, the problem is I did mornings where when I first got into the business, when I first started doing radio, there was a radio team called Phil and Brent on KMOD back in Tulsa. And I was doing morning updates on our AM station. And then I would also do my afternoon show. I was young. I needed, I had to get as much exposure as possible. And Phil and Brent brought me in, and I started doing morning updates. And that's kind of, for me, where things really took off in my career. But I just did two updates. I'd go in at 6:50 and 7:50, and then I'd do a sports update at 6:30 and 7:30. So I've always wanted to do mornings. It's always been, when I get national fill-ins, they're on morning shows. Those are usually 5 to 8, not 6 to 9s. I don't know, I'm older now. But I've always been a morning person. I always love the first cup of coffee. I always love seeing the sun come up. So I'm excited about it. It's on KREF. We're going to start, I think, next week from 6 to 9 a.m. I think it's next Friday with our first Friday show. So it's going to be fun. I'm pumped. It's going to be a little different world. Josh is sticking from 9 to noon. Dari Noka's coming on board, and that's going to be awesome.
That'd be awesome.
But I'm really excited about it. It's something I've always wanted to do, and let's see how it works out.
Well, cool. I'm excited for you. But okay, so your new guy, his name is Blake.
Right, Blake Gamble.
Co-host. Blake Gamble. Okay, I couldn't remember his last name. Yeah, he seems really cool. I started following him on Twitter. I had never heard of him prior to the big announcement.
Okay, neither had I. No clue.
Okay.
Blake worked with us, but he worked on the high school side. Blake, and he's done some fill-in stuff with us for a while. He's a great dude.
Okay, cool. Well, he seems awesome. I started following him on Twitter, so he's a nice guy. But I don't know, it has our OU Texas radio tradition come to an end?
Oh, no, I didn't even think about that. Maybe it has.
I know.
I don't know, unless you're going to wake up our crew in Ardmore at 6 a.m. I don't think they want to do that, though. I love those women that run the –
Let's go.
They're awesome.
Listen, if she wants to get upset,
I don't know. That's a great question. It probably is. We'll have to still find a way, though. We'll still find a way.
We'll figure it out. I'll call in.
There you go.
Hey, I'm not a morning person, but I'll call you at like 7:30.
Hey, the morning person side of it is really just the waking up at 5 a.m. By 7 a.m., most people are up anyway. So if I can survive that first hour, we're good.
Well, thank you, Plank, for giving me part of your time. I do appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you, Lorraine.
I hope you guys enjoyed that great conversation with Chris, and you can't beat a season recap with the very own voice of OU softball, so I appreciate him. And also, as someone who used to also call baseball games, he follows that program closely as well. And of course, as a sideline reporter for football, looking forward to the fall. Can't beat a good chat about that as well. So something I wanted to bring up, this actually dropped as soon as I finished recording this with Plank on Monday afternoon. I opened up Twitter and this was the very first thing that I saw, and I texted it to him and said, dude, this literally came out as we were recording, and I hate that we didn't get to chat about it, but I wanted to share it. That Softball America released the top 100 players for the 2025 season, and the Sooners had 5 in the top 31. We had number 8, Sam Landry, number 10, Ella Parker, number 22, Gabby Garcia, number 25, Cassidy Pickering, and number 31, Ellie McEnroe-Marinas. So that's really cool that we had those Sooners recognized on the national stage, being in the top 100 players for the season is pretty incredible. And to have 5 of them in the top 31, that's just amazing. That is something I didn't want to get overlooked, since it did drop literally right after Plank and I recorded. I hate that we didn't get to chat about it, but I did not want it to fall to the wayside. So a couple things that Plank and I talked about was the recruits and the Champ U barbecue and the house settlement, and that's something I'll talk a little bit more about on next week's episode as I get some more information on some things. But I did want to discuss those things with Plank because he is on the inside of all of that, and I know he has a lot of information and thoughts on it, so I appreciate him wanting to discuss those things with us. And I almost forgot to read this week's Sooner Fun Fact of the Week, but I did not want to leave it out of this week's episode. I will put it up on the screen, and of course it will be on social media this week as usual, but it is softball related, and since Plank and I just finished having a great conversation about our awesome softball season, and I didn't want to not read this one on the episode. So this week's Sooner Fun Fact of the Week is our OU softball pitcher Paige Parker was named the Big 12 Pitcher of the Year for 4 consecutive years from 2015 through 2018, and that is a phenomenal feat, and I did not want that to fall by the wayside because that is incredible, and I'm so thankful that Paige Parker was a part of our national championship team twice and just a part of the Sooner family in general. She is an incredible athlete. Thank you guys for tuning in. Again, if you were here for Plank, I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you come back. If you enjoyed the episode with Plank and you want to listen to my first episode with Plank, you can go to any of your podcast app, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Substack. You can go all the way back to February 5th on episode 4. That was the first time I had Chris Plank on with me, and we do a softball preview and talk about some other things as well. So if you're a big fan of Plank, you will definitely want to check that one out. So thank you all again so much for your overwhelming support for the show. If you do not follow me on social media, I ask that you please go do that. I am at Sooner Girl Pod, literally on every platform there is. Please like, follow, subscribe, download your favorite episodes on your favorite podcast app, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and Substack. Please rate and review, share with a friend. Leave me a review on Facebook or one of the podcast app. That truly does help me, and it means a lot to me as well. I do have merch again for sale if you're interested in that. The link is in my bio for my link tree that has everything linked to all the podcast apps, social media, merch, Substack, all the things. I do have advertising and sponsorship opportunities available as well. You can shoot me an email, SoonerGirlSportsPod@gmail.com, or shoot me a message on any social media. I do have the Locker Room, which is my community on Substack. It's $5 a month. We do online meetings. We're doing an in-person meetup in June. You get a discount on merch. We have a chat on Substack, private stories on Instagram, and you are the first to know all of the inside information and what's going on behind the scenes on the pod. If that's something that you're interested in, girls, it's just $5 a month, and it supports my show, as well as, honestly, it's one of my favorite things. It's a great community of girls. We have a great time, so I encourage you to check it out. If you want to give it a try before you commit, I would be more than welcome to that. So just shoot me a message and we will set that up for you. So again, our huddle, we're having an online meetup at the end of June on the 20th, and we're doing an in-person meetup in Norman before the AU game on the 22nd. So it's not too late to join in if you want to be a part of those those things. So again, you can subscribe on Substack for free to get everything delivered to your inbox for free, or follow it along on the Substack app so that you don't miss anything ever, episodes, big announcements, all the things. So thank you guys for listening so much. I am excited to be back next week. I have a fantastic lineup for June and the rest of the summer. If you haven't seen the lineup, you can go to my social media. I put that out earlier this weekend, and I cannot wait to get these episodes out to you. I've really had some great people. So thank you guys for listening. I hope you have a great week. I will see you next Wednesday where we talk sports.